Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into HR analytics and how it's basically the secret weapon for securing an organization's future. We're going to decode the specific, data-driven strategies that successful companies use to look ahead. We'll break down the two absolutely critical types of HR analytics that organizations rely on to get this done. If you've ever wondered how massive companies ensure they have exactly the right people in the right roles years in advance, well, it all comes down to the models. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's kick things off with the million-dollar question. How do businesses actually handle the inherent uncertainty of shifting demands and potential talent gaps? People are going to retire, they'll transition out, and business demands? Well, they're constantly shifting. Guesswork just doesn't cut it anymore. So how do they actually prepare for all this?
To answer that, we have to look at forecasting across a whole spectrum, going from the micro right up to the macro, forecasting organization futures from micro to macro.
First up, we have succession planning analytics. Now, you might hear that and think it's just another corporate buzzword, but actually, it's an intensely personal metric. This is completely focused on the human element. It's way less about generic headcounts and so much more about identifying specific, real individuals and evaluating their unique readiness to step up and lead.
In practice, evaluating that micro-level potential really boils down to three core areas: leadership readiness, internal mobility, and career progression. The analytics take a super close look at whether an individual is truly prepared to lead, how smoothly they can bounce across different internal roles, and what their overall career trajectory looks like. It's this highly targeted, totally data-driven deep dive into an employee's potential.
So what's the payoff here? Well, by tracking those individual metrics, an organization can effectively forecast where talent gaps are going to pop up. Think about it. If internal mobility is low, or if leadership readiness is seriously lacking in a specific department, the data flags that vulnerability long before it becomes a full-blown emergency.
Ultimately, the entire goal here is to actively prepare your future leaders before they're urgently needed. Because the analytics flag the gaps so early, HR can swoop in with targeted training or mentoring. Basically, by the time a key position opens up, the successor is already prepped and ready to take the baton.
But looking at individuals is really only half the equation. Zooming way out to the macro perspective, the organization uses broader predictive models. This brings us to the macro view, workforce planning analytics. Workforce planning analytics completely shifts our focus. We are moving entirely away from the individual and over to the massive structural models that keep the whole company running. This kind of planning relies on huge data sets to look at overarching, big-picture trends regarding staffing, attrition, and demand across the entire business ecosystem. These predictive models usually interconnect three distinct puzzle pieces. First up, overall staffing needs. Second, the inevitable rate of attrition, because let's face it, people will leave. And third, the shifting future business demand. By balancing those needs and the demand against expected attrition, the model outputs a crystal-clear picture of your macro workforce reality.
With those predictive steps locked in, the organization can achieve true strategic workforce allocation. It literally takes all the guesswork out of hiring. If the models show demand in the tech department is surging, but attrition in sales is leveling off, leadership can reallocate their resources exactly where the data dictates. No more flying blind. Furthermore, this kind of a structural forecasting is a remarkably effective tool for cost control. When you strategically allocate your workforce based on hard, predictive models, you completely avoid overhiring and bloated departments. Your staffing aligns perfectly with your actual business needs, which directly supports the company's financial health. Okay, let's bring these two concepts together right now with a strategic allocation comparison. We need to see how these function as highly complementary sides of the exact same coin. Understanding one without the other, well, it only gives you half the picture of how a modern organization secures its future. When you put them side by side, it's pretty eye-opening how they secure the business from two totally different angles. Succession planning is your human-focused micro-strategy. It's preparing the actual leaders who will drive the company forward. Workforce planning, on the other hand, is your operational macro strategy, managing the headcounts and keeping those costs in check. Basically, one secures the talent and the other secures the structure.
To wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with a bit of a challenge. Is your organization truly forecasting its future readiness using these micro and macro analytics, or are they just reacting to gaps as they randomly appear? The data is literally right there to predict needs and prep leaders long before a crisis hits. The real question is, who is actually using it? Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next explainer.